All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. We're brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Merely Both, the great Z, and joined live here in studio. Tight end Blake Whiteheart in studio with us. First NFL catch, man. I know that you would NFL touchdown catch. I know that obviously
first NFL target, first NFL catch,
all
first
of those
NFL
things
touchdown.
Obviously,
boom, boom,
you
boom.
would have wanted a win.
Yeah.
But you've had a couple of days, and wins and losses come and go. But as a kid growing up, to check that enormous box off the list, what does that mean?
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, in the game, you're kind of really focused on the game, so I didn't really think about it other than just like, oh, I scored a touchdown, like I helped the team. But on the flight back, kind of like reminiscing, like that's like every kid's dream. Like that's what like you do when you're 5 and like you catch a touchdown, you spike it in your backyard, like on the turkey bowl, like Thanksgiving. You know? So like just having that experience and like being able to watch it and like have the game ball, like have that souvenir, like it's just super, super cool. I mean, obviously like winning is way more important than that, but for myself, like that's super cool. Like Jeff Swain, the other tight end, congratulated me. Like he's like, I remember that. Like it was so cool. So he was like, watch that like 16 times. He was like, just go home, watch that clip, just keep watching it, like burn it into your brain because like you only get your first touchdown catch once.
That's right.
So super, super cool, super grateful. That he throws to me. So,
well, you get in that. You guys line up in the heavy, in the jumbo goal line.
Yeah.
As soon as the ball's snapped, I mean, as soon as you've taken one step, you know that they're all in on the run.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're probably thinking, "Crap, we're both wide open.
Yeah,
Who's he going to
seriously.
throw it to?"
Yeah,
right?
well, Jeff is funny. Jeff was like, I could have grabbed that, but like he's like, I'm gonna let you have that one. And I was like, I appreciate that because it was lobbed. I mean, it was for both of us. But yeah, I feel like as soon as we called the play, we kind of gave each other eyes. Like one of us is catching a touchdown right here. So luckily, I'm happy it was me. But yeah, I mean, we knew like as soon as that play was called that that was kind of what was gonna happen, and it worked out perfectly. So.
It's awesome and very happy, obviously, for you. And just kind of take us through your journey. You spent some time with some people we're familiar with, Drew Petzing in Arizona. You come in here after the cut-down days, so you weren't with us at all in the offseason.
Yeah.
And then a couple games in, they're like, hey, you're on the roster now.
Yeah.
And now you're playing, making catches. And you really had 4 catches in this game. One got wiped off due to penalty. But how has that been for you?
Yeah, well, first I want to say just all grace and glory to God. I mean, truly, like, he has been so, so good to me and my family, and just truthfully, the journey that he's brought me on, I mean, it is literally all him. Like, there's nothing that I have done physically, mentally, putting myself in situations that would have gotten me to this point other than the grace of God and his favor on me. So I just want to put that out there. I just want to thank you, Jesus, Lord, for just putting me here. But kind of the journey, like you said, undrafted guy, went through camp in Arizona, was like, just going to give it everything I got, kind of in that position, and ended up being on the team a little bit last year, kind of went through camp there this past offseason. And, I feel like I had a good camp, but I just didn't think things were going to really work out there. And, like I said, I'm a faith-based guy, and I know the Lord's going to be faithful all the time. So it's always funny. My wife's from here, from Akron.
Okay.
Her family's from here, and I trained here in the offseason last year and like all through the spring, so it's like miserable here. And I was like, I was like, I never want to come back to Ohio. Like, we're moving somewhere far away. Like,
go right back to Arizona. Arizona's great.
So we're going to Arizona, whatever. Texas, like somewhere else. We're gonna set up our home base, and like, I was like, Lord's got a sense of humor. I signed here on P Squad, and I know they're only keeping 2 tight ends, and that was kind of I don't want anyone to get hurt, obviously, but that was kind of the best opportunity I saw for me was to play, and that literally happened week 1. And Dave's obviously getting as healthy as he can be, but I was like, man, like this opportunity is thrown in my face right now. So I just kind of buttoned down all the hatches and just grinded and tried to just cram as much information as I could. And they gave me more and more role as the weeks went on. So grateful to them for trusting me, for one. It's hard for they didn't know nothing really about me. And they
saw something they liked, obviously.
I mean, they gave me plays, and I just want to perform and help the team win, and I feel like I can help them do that. So super grateful to be here. It's cool. We were talking earlier, like the fan base here is electric. Like I was from a smaller college, Wake Forest. We have fans, but
it's more of a hoop school. You think of the most famous Demon Deacons.
So I mean, I've respect and love for them, but like coming here, it's like this is all there is the Browns, and like going to the games, like the home games, I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like this is cool. Like everyone loves the Browns, and like my family and everyone. So super, super cool.
I said that most of the guys who come in here, especially when we get a chance to talk to the rookies when they draft them really quick, especially the guys who come from big state U's,
Yeah.
And playing at Wake, you played at Clemson, Florida State. Like that's what it feels like. It's that type of feeling that it's Sunday at 1, and this is what the city does. It comes and does that. And obviously, with your wife's family being here, they would have been
for
all
sure.
about that. I'm curious what that were they. I'm assuming huge Browns fans. What did?
Oh yeah, they were huge Browns fans. I mean, everyone, and then me coming here, they're like, "Oh, it's meant to be," blah, blah, like whatever. So, and then I get a million texts from. She's Italian, so her family's like massive.
Yeah.
So I get a text from like all her family members, everyone. So, yeah, like you said, like even like it was a home game at the Raiders game. I mean, there's half the fan. I mean, I was just like blown away, like just everywhere. Just people are everywhere, and that's just like so cool, just to have that experience, because I didn't really have that. I mean, you have Wake, like I said, but not like that where it's just like the support is just poured on top of you. So
did you
really
meet
cool.
you meet your wife in college?
I did. She played soccer there.
Okay, so the idea that an Akron girl whose family are diehard Browns fans goes to Wake Forest, which is not a typical place.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about faith-based, buddy.
Yeah, I told you.
There's a lot.
I mean,
I'm just connecting dots.
I can't write it up any better. I mean, like it's literally all Jesus. Like I can't.
I think of like girls and their moms and dads, and like dad saying, "Boy, if you could marry a Brown," like that type of stuff. And then she ends up at Wake.
Yeah.
You end up at Wake, like.
Yeah, I mean,
you grew up there, right? You grew up.
I grew up 5 minutes.
Did you grow up a Wake fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my high school, Wake, and my house is like 5 mile like little circle loop there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
to make those worlds collide, though, is a lot.
It's wild. Yeah.
He's got good plans, man. I would never have thought of that. I mean, I've have it come into terms like that, but I'm very grateful that it is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
To be honest, like we're trying to find somewhere to live, but they live in Medina, so like. Yeah. We're over there squatting right now, just like living at their place, and they love it because
they hit you up for gear.
Yeah, I got them a few shirts. I got the in-laws a few shirts. I was like,
you got to take care. You got to take care of everybody.
Nice. That's awesome.
What was kind of the reaction? You mentioned what Jeff Swaim said, the veteran. He kind of just joined the team too, but Tommy Reese. This is his first year as a tight end. His coach was a college quarterback, obviously, the OC at Alabama, and now he comes in, and that was our first tight end touchdown there. Was he pretty fired up for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's
not even that much older than you.
Yeah, I know. He's a younger coach, obviously, but I really love him. I mean, he's got that coordinator mindset, and he's kind of brought a lot of insight to me, just kind of explaining the bigger picture of football and kind of really understanding defenses better and why things are. So him as a coach has been like such a blessing. Super cool dude, and like he's fired up for me. He's the person I threw the ball to. He was like standing on the field, and I'm like, I'm keeping this ball. And I see him, I just honk it like 60 yards. It hits him like right in the hands. He's like, so he's awesome.
Maybe that's an audition for a trick play too. Yeah. If you're slinging it 60 yards, they're not going to see that coming
for sure.
That's awesome. In terms of as we move forward here, big challenge going to Washington this week, and this team getting back on the practice field. And we just started the program talking to Blake Whiteheart, by the way, tight end, caught the touchdown in the game in Vegas. Nick coming back, Naheem Hines coming back, Michael Dunn coming back, so some cavalry coming as well. Where is kind of the state of this team coming off of a tough loss and heading into a red-hot Washington team on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the message is just like we just have to focus on what we're doing. Like, we have to clean up our own things. I mean, we have so much talent, and we all believe like this is a great team. And in past weeks, we've just been beating ourselves sometimes, and that can't happen in the NFL. Like any given day, any team can beat you. And so, I mean, I love being a part of this team because everyone cares so much. Coaches, players, like we have I'm a younger guy. We have so many good vets who are such great leaders, and so many great players who care. Like that was the message. Is like we got to button down the hatches. Like. All effort goes into this week, like no distractions. Like let's make sure everything is perfect. And like when everyone is perfect and we're playing complimentary football and we're dialed in, like there's no one that can beat us.
Win.
Like look at our roster, like matchup to matchup, like we're good across the board and like we know we can do it. So I think that was, and just doing a little bit more, doing the details just a little bit better, all the things we know we can do and we're capable of, and this team's done in the past. And just playing, collective football, coaches, players, everything. I mean, that's the plan. So like I'm fired up for this week because like it's another opportunity to show like we deserve to be here, we deserve to win games, and like we're going to. Like it's not going to be given to us at all. Like we got to take it. And so that guy right there is a great leader, And he he fired us
to
up.
the
Great
picture of
leader,
Miles on the
great
desk,
player.
yeah.
Do you end up having to block against him sometimes?
Yeah, I was actually excited for that when I came here because I was on P Squad. I'm like, dude, if I don't get better from trying to block this guy, like, I'm not gonna get better anywhere. Like, he's the best in the league. So like, if I can block him sometimes, then I can block anyone. So, but yeah, I mean, he's just a great leader, and there's a bunch of guys who have just been pushing like this week, just like we got to be on it, and that's what it's gonna take, and that's what we're gonna bring this week. I mean, from here on, it's go time. Like, we got to put the pieces together, and I think that's what we're going to do. I mean, everyone's locked in, coaches, players, like, it's time to go, and we're excited to play this week for sure. I mean, it's such a great opportunity, especially against this team.
Yeah, they're playing well. Well, we're excited too, man.
be fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's awesome to get to meet you. Awesome to see you kind of get that touchdown and have that moment, and the fact that your wife's from Akron. It's crazy.
Yeah,
awesome.
sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's great.
Great stuff. Blake Whiteheart in studio. Congratulations, buddy. Look forward to seeing it again this week, and thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Those are your Hot Topics of the Day. Hot Topics of the Day presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. It is a matchup edition of the program. We're actually going to meet the Commanders as well. Plus, we'll get you a lot of news going around the building today in terms of who's up, who's down. Get something we talked about yesterday with Mike Hall as well. We get some specifics on that. Finally on that. We're off and running. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. We're brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And boost your game day this season with the Bally Bet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $50 or more. You get $150 back in bonus bets. Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We've got a lot going on. I mentioned in the interview with Blake, Nick Chubb, Nyheim Hines, Michael Dunn, all designated to return to practice. Nathaniel Watson was signed to the active roster from the practice squad as well. Not practicing today, Jack Conklin, Jed Wills, Ethan Posick, Myles Garrett, Jordan Hicks, Alex Wright, Chief will practice today. So what do you make sense of all that?
Not worried about Myles. Obviously, some concerns with Ethan. It seems like Jack and Jed are still a little bit a ways away. Jordan Hicks tried to play through that elbow injury last week, so you wonder, by re-aggravating it, does that mean that he's farther away than he was last week? I am not yet ready to kind of even guess as to what's going to go on there, but I would think for the Browns, obviously offensive line remains a pretty significant area of injury and concern. I do think they're optimistic about Posick. I think that they could be optimistic about, I think as the week goes on for Jack, Jed, Ethan probably doesn't have to practice until Friday.
Yeah. Yep.
Or he could even probably go without practicing if in an ultimate necessity. I think Jack and Jed, you're going to need to see them get back out there tomorrow because Jack hasn't played all year. Jed's played a half of a game. That if they were going to ramp up, I do think there's optimism that everybody could be available on the line, but I don't think that. I think we'll know tomorrow.
Go back to the Greenbrier. How many practices have Jed and Jack taken part in? I'm asking. I don't know. Is it less than? It's definitely less than 10. Is it less than 5?
Well, they didn't. I mean, they didn't practice at the Greenbrier.
I understand.
So
I'm
they
saying
didn't practice
from
all training
July
camp.
All the way through.
They practiced
that 1 week,
Jack,
right? Is that
maybe
it?
a couple days over both less than 5.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff there. And so the ramp up starts for Nick at this point with a return to practice. That'll be the headline, right? Nick Chubb returns. I talked about this yesterday. It's not even right now the on-field stuff. It's just he's such a shot in the arm from an accountability standpoint, from an energy standpoint. Getting him back out there, seeing 24 out there doing anything is just going to be such an incredible emotional lift for this team. What is your sense on what that will look like with Nick over the next couple of weeks?
I think it's probably a little too early to say what that is ultimately going to mean for Nick Chubb, but I know that he is closer to returning than I think anybody would have thought he would be at this point. So yeah. I think you see how it goes. My guess is they're going to ease him back in no matter what it is. They've got 3 weeks, right, to make the determination on him. I would kind of as a target, if you're saying a best case scenario target, is maybe next week you give him like a little bit of work and then you hopefully have him at a better way to go for the Bengals and the Ravens. Or maybe it just starts with the Bengals, but I think that's kind of.
Someone asked.
I don't think it's going to be this week.
I got asked that. No, certainly not. I got asked this morning, and I don't know the answer to it. Does in terms of has to be? He just has to be on the active roster, right? In one of the 3 weeks.
Yeah, so you have to make.
He doesn't have to go into a game and do that. He just has to be active.
But you would, if you weren't going to play him, you'd wait until the end to do that. He's got to be. They have 3 weeks to determine whether or not he can come back at all. You either have to shut him down or they come back to the roster.
Right. So by that third week, which is it Bengals?
Third week would be the Bengals. Yep.
Okay. So in order for him to play this season,
roster.
He will be active for the Bengals game.
Correct.
That's the minimum requirement. Yeah.
That's why I think maybe you get him active for Philly and you are able to, get a look. Maybe get him a few plays, get his feet wet, and then hopefully be able to go there. Now, what's going to be interesting with the roster as we look at it right now, if you get Nick Chubb and Nyheim Hines back, okay?
Yep.
You're not going to have 5 running backs on the roster. So that could Foreman, Pierre Strong potentially could be on the hot seat there. You're not going to keep all the receivers, so maybe if Nyheim Hines comes in as your return guy, that probably could be tough for James Prochet.
Yeah.
Michael Dunn comes back. My guess is that would be Javion Cohen or Jermaine Ifedi. If our tackles are back, we don't need 5 tackles on the roster.
Yeah.
And so that's where you'd be able to make those moves there. Clearly they are, and they also know that Nathaniel Watson, they can release him and he'll come back to our practice squad. So there are spots that you're able to move around with.
What is your sense on Chief?
I think he's going to play this week.
Okay. So that would be a big boost.
I think Chief's going to play this week, and like I said, I think it is possible that you'll have Posick, Wills, and Conklin all available to you as well. We're just going to have to, I think, see them on the field. I would think tomorrow would be my guess.
Okay, which would be your Thursday practice, your Friday.
The way that we structure it, Wednesdays are a little lighter. Thursday is the biggest practice day. Fridays are kind of that fast Friday. So like to get ready for a game, Thursday is probably actually a little bit more of an important practice than Friday per se. So I think you'd have to see them out there on Thursday, and I think it's within the realm of possibility.
So the other thing that certainly didn't anticipate that this wasn't scores. It just popped into my head when we were talking about an inability to get much of a push up front, especially from the defensive tackles. And we organically landed on the Mike Hull conversation just yesterday on the show. And then after the show, again, like a lot of times on the show, there are scores. This was not scores. We did not plan on talking about it. It's just something that popped into my head when we were discussing the push and what wasn't happening up front outside of Miles. I think you had that stat on the pressures and the amount that Miles had accounted for, and we were wondering where are the rest of those pressures coming from.
Yep.
And we stumbled into the conversation. Well, it was official that Mike Hull has been suspended for 5 games without pay for violating the league's personal conduct policy, eligible to return next week. So that means he's got this week will be his 5th. The previous 4 will be time served, and we found that out.
So he'll be ready for the Eagles game.
So there you go. So it's crazy.
It feels look, we don't have all the information.
No, but there's no transparency in the process either.
No, and this feels like a very significant suspension. It feels, that is 5 games is a big suspension.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So he'll be out this week and then return next week. So there you go. That's where that stands. How you been?
Good.
How's everything? Sunny. It's sunny out there.
Do you need some love, brother?
Got a lot going on.
I feel like both of you need to act accordingly and have a cocktail.
All right, the next level is next. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm fine with that.
I feel like I'm doing fine. I came in here. Look at the boards are already done.
Boards are done. Boards are done.
No. I'm not like. I just feel like.
Yeah.
I think it's been a week for us all already.
Thank God it's first Friday.
Wednesday.
It's
a first Friday.
This week.
Thank God it's a first Friday. Let's just say that. Yeah. Did you guys watch any of the baseball at all? Did it something that got anybody of interest?
No, I'll watch the Guardians when they are in the playoffs.
Tough hit for them. Saturday, opposite college football. That won't go well.
Saturday at 1.
Yeah, it'll go well here locally, but it won't go well nationally. It'll do
Monday at 4.
Odd times.
Yeah, it is odd times. It's crazy what they've done and how they put their postseason in here and just shoehorn it in on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Saturday in the middle of the afternoon.
Because you have the Mets and the Yankees, and they're going to get prime time.
Look, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that's happened in sports television of the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
Is Sunday Night Baseball pushing Yankees,
Red Sox,
Mets over and over and over and over again. And I just talked about this yesterday. We talked about this, how baseball is so hyper-regional and so hyper-local that people just don't care about the Yankees the way that you thought that they did. They don't. The Yankees have won one World Series in the last, is it 20 years? I mean, I think it is.
Feels like
they won the one with Alex Rodriguez when he was still there. This incarnation has not won one. They lost in 2001 to the Diamondbacks.
All right, you ready?
They had that stretch in the late 90s, which seems like yesterday to me, but I don't think I think they won one.
2009.
Yankees.
I believe I had that.
98, 99, 2000, then Diamondbacks, Angels, Marlins, Red Sox, White Sox, Cardinals, Red Sox, Phillies, Yankees 2009. Then it was that we went into the every other year Giants, Cardinals, Giants, Red Sox, Giants, Royals, Cubs, Astros, Red Sox, Nationals, Dodgers, Braves, Astros, Rangers.
Okay.
So the Braves have won it.
So the Yankees aren't much better than the Cowboys.
Correct.
No. Braves have won it more recently than the Yankees. The Giants have won it.
The Kansas City
times.
Royals have won it more
Royals,
recently.
The
than the
Astros
Yankees.
twice.
They went back-to-back World Series.
Yeah.
They didn't win the second one.
No, they beat the Mets in the second one, and they lost to
the Giants.
Yeah. This notion, though, that it's
It's
just
the
not.
mighty Yankees, so they
It's
got to
not.
be on. Also, like
they haven't
nothing
even
like
been
Yankees
to the
Red
World
Sox when they
Series.
play 19
they-
times a year.
Right, you're right.
There you go.
You're right. So they have not even been since 09.
They haven't even been since 09.
To the World
Astros
Series.
have been 4 times since 09. 2 wins and 2 losses.
Cheaters.
Dodgers have been 3 times. Giants have been 3 times. Rangers have been 3 times.
Yeah. So I don't think there is what they think there is there. All
Does
the while.
anybody
Go ahead.
does anybody draw?
I think
No, it's over. Like I said, it's
Yeah,
a
it's over,
hyper-local
yeah.
sport now. It's done. It's cooked. I mean, honestly, Caitlin Clark's bigger than the WNBA playoff or the Major League Baseball playoffs. That's just the truth, ratings-wise.
and I think that's why they're like, we need to put New York in primetime because it gives us a chance to get the biggest number, whatever that number might
Yeah.
be.
I mean, the idea that if you were to tell there will not be a single game in any of this postseason that'll do 4 million audience. Colorado UCF did 4 million at 3:30 on Saturday. Think about what those two brands are. More people are interested in that than will be interested in any of these baseball playoffs until maybe the CS, ALCS, NLCS.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not to take away, and I don't take it that way. That does not take away that a great many people here care a lot, and they will be locked into the
the
Guardians.
regional
It's the regional thing. People here will care greatly until the Guardians lose, and then they won't watch the rest of it. In baseball, you want to watch your team, and that's it. When your team is eliminated, then you're out. The casual fan will watch your team, and that's it. They won't engage in any of the rest of it. That's just the way that it's gone through the years.
Yep.
I will, but I'm weird.
No, but you're a diehard, probably,
There
right?
are diehards.
Yeah, you're
I got
diehard.
married
The
on
Big
a baseball.
Daddy.
Okay, yes.
I got married on a baseball diamond at League Park, so of course my wife and I are going to watch.
Absolutely. And so there are those people who care about it that passionately, but baseball is much more aligned, and basketball is heading in this direction with what we see in what used to be like an NHL model. Like if you have an NHL team in your market, you care vehemently about them, but if you don't watch it at all. And that's what's happened with baseball, not to the extent of NHL, but it's getting close over the few years. Like there are the diehard people who care vehemently, but in terms of the mass audience, it's just not there the way it is. Obviously not for the NFL, and honestly not even for college football anymore. It's just not there. All right, coming up next, we will meet the Washington Commanders. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Want a medical say cause your injury? Call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Now we head from the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Here's Coach Stefanski.
Okay.
You're down 4.5 minutes.
Really good football team, 3-1 football team, playing very well, playing at a high level, well coached. I think they're doing a very, very nice job. So got to have a great week of practice and then get on the airplane and try to find a way to win on Sunday. But with that, I'll take any questions.
When you watch Jayden Daniels, Kevin, I'm sure there's a long list of this, but what's most impressive about him?
Yeah, it is a long list. The completion percentage is impressive. The ability to make plays within the scheme, outside of the scheme, making throws down the field. Tough kid, smart. I mean, just very impressive.
What will it mean to you if you guys can get David back on the field in Washington playing in this game?
Yeah, it's another one, Mary Kay. We got to see how this week goes, see how he looks throughout this week. But Dave obviously gives our offense a boost with his ability both in the run game and the pass game. But really got to see how he does these next few days.
Kevin, it's pretty obvious that execution is the offensive problem, all those self-inflicted wounds. Do you see any positive in making a change in play call?
Yeah, for us right now, Tony, really our focus is just playing better. Certainly that doesn't mean players play better. It means all of us have to do a better job. So I have to do a better job. Our offense coaches have to do a better job. Our offensive players have to do a better job. But that's all of us together. So that's really where our focus is.
Kevin, Kingsbury, Cliff, his offense, how is it similar with what he did with Kyler, now with Jayden, and how has he altered and tweaked things to utilize Jayden better?
Yeah, he's evolved. There's some things that look very similar, some things that they're doing, whether it's schematic, whether it's concept or personnel or timing of how they do things is a little bit different, but it's early, so it's 4 games into it for them as well. Just I'm sure they're going to pivot to different things as they get going, but they're playing at a very high level.
Daniel's high completion percentage, I think he's got more scoring drives than he does incompletions to this point. How much pressure is that going to put on your secondary? Just when you watch him on film, what has made him such an efficient passer?
Well, he's taking what's there, but he's making tough throws as well. So at that number, at that clip, he's making good decisions. He's making quick decisions. He's getting the ball out on time and accurately to his guys. And it's a challenging scheme. They really they try to put you in conflict as much as they can. So he's just doing a nice job within their scheme. And like I mentioned, he also has the ability to make plays off schedule as well.
Yeah, when you look at the Washington's defense, what stands out kind of as points of emphasis for you guys?
Yeah, they're playing at a high level, a very, very aggressive front. The 2 guys inside are as good as any 2 guys that anybody has. So present a huge challenge. Bobby Wagner down the middle, still doing it at a high level. Just good players, play physical, play aggressive.
Kevin, Terry McLaurin, it seems like maybe one of the more underrated, underappreciated.
Not by me.
Well, I mean, outside of maybe, coaching team. Mm-hmm. Just, I mean, what makes him so special?
He has always done it at a high level. And you watch him and how he moves and how he comes out of cuts, and he's always, from my perspective, it looks like he's always where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there. So that's very friendly to the quarterback. Really a great combination of quickness, speed, ability to separate, and then great hands.
These last couple of weeks there have been mistakes with multiple key pieces on this team. So how are you as a coaching staff kind of attacking that going into this pivotal week?
I think it's so important, and we talked about that some this morning, is in order to do your job on Sunday, you just have to make sure you're ultra prepared Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We don't need guys to do more on Sunday. We just need to do our job, and that's pretty simple. So guys work very hard. They work hard in the meeting rooms, hard in the weight room, hard in the practice field. We just got to make sure that we lean into all that hard work so that we can just do our job on Sunday.
And the job on Sunday will be a difficult one. The Washington Commanders are the opponent. They are 3-1 in the season, probably along with Minnesota, the 2 most surprising operations in the National Football League. Dan Quinn is their coach. He is 46-4 43 overall, his 7th season as a head coach, first in Washington, 6 years in Atlanta, brought them to within of the Super Bowl in 51, up 28-3 in that one. Last meeting, the Browns won 24-10 in 2023 at the end of the 22
January
season.
1st.
Yeah, January 1st.
3
indeed.
touchdowns for Deshaun, 2 to Amari, all in the second half.
Oh, baby. Simpler times. Last time out, of course, they whipped Arizona 42-14. Before that, they won at Cincinnati. Their offense is good, very good. They have Jayden Daniels, who is off to one of the great starts of all time. For some of the other details on this, Dr. Z.
All right, we're going to spend a second just on Jayden Daniels.
Let's do it.
Because some of these things that I've come across are absolutely stupefying to me. For the season, he's completing 82.1% of his passes, 897 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, quarterback rating of 107.4. He's also run for 218 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pretty good. Jayden Daniels, 82.1% completion percentage, obviously leads the NFL. It is the highest completion percentage by any player in his team's first 4 games of a season ever. It is the highest completion percentage since at least 1970 in a player's first 4 career games or first 4 career quarterback starts, minimum 100 pass attempts. And then here's the one that's even crazier to me. This is the highest completion percentage by any player in a 4-game span at any point in their career since at least 1950. So Peyton Manning had a stretch in 2008 where he completed 81.8% of his passes. Drew Brees had a stretch at 79.2, Brady 79.2, Kurt Warner 79.0. What does that mean? He is on a list where everybody else on the list is a surefire Hall of Famer. And some of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. They've never done that. Ever, ever, ever. This one I thought was pretty wild. This is pretty wild. Notable statistical percentages in sports history. NFL, Jayden Daniels, his completion percentage, 82.1. The great Jerry West made 81.4% of his free throws for his career. Tiger Woods made the cut at a major 80% of the time.
Jeez.
Ohtani's stolen base success rate is 79.7%. Lionel Messi, his goal percentage on penalty kicks, 78%. I would have thought that was higher. Mike Tyson's knockout and wins in total fights, 76%. So he leads the NFL in completion percentage. He has 4 rushing touchdowns. That's most among quarterbacks. The last player to finish the season as the completion percentage leader and lead all quarterbacks in rushing touchdowns was a bum who won the NFL MVP and Super Bowl MVP in 1994.
I appreciated that.
Jayden Daniels, first in completion percentage, 4th in yards per attempt, 3rd in passer rating, 2nd in rushing yards among quarterbacks, 1st in rushing touchdowns among quarterbacks. He has 70% completion and 35 or more rushing yards in each of his first 4 NFL games. Lamar Jackson had a 4-game streak such as that in his 2019 MVP season. He's the only other player in NFL history with such a streak at any point in their career. He already has 2 games with 20 pass attempts at an 85% completion percentage, tied for the most such games by any player in a single season since at least 1950. The Browns, since returning in 1999, have had 2 such games, period. This guy, I mean, all the stuff he's
historical.
Oh, my goodness. It's completely insane. It's completely insane.
There's a couple of – the one – I'll just have one caveat, and I could not find the stat for it. But for all of the talk of how, from a passing standpoint, how it's all down from a yardage standpoint and passing touchdowns and all of that stuff, the one thing that is up at a historical level is completion percentage. So we are completing a higher percentage of passes than we ever have before for a lower amount of average yards per attempt than we ever have before. So the climate for pass completions is better than ever. That's a very just small footnote in what everything you just said.
He's still averaging 8.5 an attempt.
Here's the other thing that's incredible about this. Well, there's a lot.
Hold on, I got a lot more stuff.
Here's the other thing, though, with him that's interesting. He was going to a good situation, but nobody thought it was. If you were going to say what's the best situation for a successful quarterback, and we did a lot of offseason, was Caleb Williams. Was going into Chicago. They had the 3 receivers. That was the spot where if you're going to have DeAndre Swift, all of that stuff. Like, nobody looked at this Washington situation and said, that's one of the best situations in football for a rookie quarterback to go. So he has elevated that situation. Nobody would have had that going and playing for Dan Quinn because everybody slept on the hiring of Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, which was kind of laughed at.
Yeah.
Truly. Like, oh, great, Kingsbury's going to go call ball plays, right? But it's all worked, and it's such an improbable start. Even more so, I think, than Minnesota for me, because I always go back with Minnesota with Darnold and the fact that Kyle loved him and similar-ish systems.
Sure.
So there was a
and Justin
roadmap.
Jefferson.
Yeah, talent, all of it. So there was a roadmap for it. There was no roadmap for this. There was no predicting this.
No. Okay. Listen to this. The Washington Commanders. Okay, well, there's one more Jayden Daniels one. Over the last 2 games, Daniels has accounted for 5 touchdowns. Last 2 games, 5 touchdowns, 3 passes, 2 runs, and thrown just 6 incompletions. They've punted once in the last 3 games. The Commanders this season have 23 scoring drives, 13 touchdowns, 10 field goals, and have thrown just 19 incomplete passes. The 1973 Rams, which now pains me to say is 51 years ago, as someone who was born in the 70s.
It's not great when you start hearing that, is it? No, it's bad.
Are the only other team in the Super Bowl era ever that had more scoring drives than incompletions over the first 4 games of the season. I mean, they have the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. They're unbelievable. He's number 2 in the league against the blitz. He's number 1 in the league when under pressure. I mean, it's just it's absolutely nuts. And then here's one that this one really bugged me. So they said the Browns and Commanders share significant figures that illustrate the opposite results of their offenses in 2024.
Is this Washington's release?
No, this is the NFL.
Oh, NFL release.
Stats. Yeah. Like they're kind of, yeah. Washington has 23 scoring drives. We've already said that. Most in the NFL. The Browns have 23 punts. Second most in the NFL. Washington has 19 incomplete passes, fewest in the NFL. Browns 19 sacks allowed, most in the NFL. Washington has 4 punts on the season, fewest in the NFL. The Browns have 4 games with fewer than 300 total yards on offense, most in the NFL.
This has been a lot of fun.
I mean, it's nuts.
Really.
This is the funny thing. They said, according to Next Gen Stats,
Jim Beam in here to pour us a couple.
The Browns, this is great. The Browns have played man coverage on 43.1% of opponents' dropbacks, second highest rate in the NFL. Daniels' completion percent versus man, as they put in quotes, only 73.1%, third best in the NFL. He's got a 119 rating versus man, 103 rating versus zone because of the interception he threw last week.
Forget about here. I'm going to need that in the booth on Sunday.
Listen. Games aren't played on paper.
Here's the real truth of it, though. A year ago, and I know we still have a lot of these players in the mix, you would say that our defense would be the type that would unsettle a young quarterback.
I think so still.
Agreed. So our ability for 95 to wreak havoc is real. Our linebackers' ability to run, talking about JOK specifically, and cover a lot of space,
is real.
Our corner situation, MJ's off to a little bit of a slow start, but Denzel's been lights out.
And Denzel locks down McLaurin.
He locks down. And he locks, I mean, quite honestly, he's had a hell of a start to the year. I mean,
he's got 7 passes defense, most in the league.
He's been a stud.
Yeah.
And so there are antidotes for all of this greatness, but it's also worth noting that he was lights out on the road, and
back-to-back games.
When we had Andrew on yesterday, like, that city hasn't anything to be excited about in a long time, football-wise.
No. They wanted Dan Snyder to get rid of the team. Now, what's also incredible, we said all those things, and that would lead you to believe this team's 4-0. They're unbelievable. They're 3-1, which is close. But the Commanders have allowed 10 passing touchdowns this year, a quarterback rating of 123.3, and 55% conversions on third downs, all worst in the NFL.
Yeah.
So their D has not been great. The 10 passing touchdowns, they've allowed 10 passing touchdowns and no interceptions in 2024. In the Super Bowl era, only one other team has allowed double-digit touchdowns without an interception over the first 4 games of the season. Only one, 2021 Falcons.
Yeah.
So their D hasn't been good, but they've got listen, they've got names that you know. I should also
Neither
point
was
out,
Vegas's.
Well, no. None of these D's have been good. We just have not been great on offense. They also, I should point out, Brian Robinson Jr. is their main running back. He already has 2 games with over 100 yards rushing this season. He had 1 game like that prior to 2024. Austin Eckler should be back from a concussion. He's averaging 13.4 yards per catch, which leads all running backs. He had a kick return called back for a touchdown. He can still go. He's averaging 6.4 yards a carry, 13.4 yards per reception. The G-man. They've got McLaurin. They've got Zach Ertz having a nice season, 15 catches, 150. But that's really it. They got Olamide Zaccheaus, who is with the Falcons. He's got 10 catches for 114 yards. But, I mean, that's really it. It's more Jayden Daniels and Robinson together are kind of a 2-man wrecking crew, and he's getting it to McLaurin. He scored twice in a row and getting it to Ertz. They've got a good offensive line. They brought in Nick Allegretti, who's a 3-time Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs. They brought in Tyler Biadasz, who was a Pro Bowler with Dallas. They got Andrew Wiley, who was, believe it or not, on our practice squad in 2017, and then went on to be the starting tackle for the Chiefs and win 2 Super Bowls with them. So they've been solid. Their pass blocking efficiency is number 2 in the NFL.
Yep.
They've been opening a lot of holes on the ground. Now, defensively, we talked about it. They're bottom of the league in points per game, rushing yards per game, pass yards per game, total yards per game. They have 0. They have not 1 interception on the season, and they're the worst third down defense in the league. But they've got names you know. Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, a pair of Pro Bowl defensive tackles. Dorrance Armstrong, who was with Dan Quinn in Dallas, had 16 sacks the last 2 seasons. He's their leader with 2 sacks this year. Dante Fowler Jr., a former first-round pick, 4th overall of the Jags. He's on the team. Cleveland Farrell, a former first-round pick, 4th overall of the Raiders. He's on this team. The linebackers are excellent. Bobby Wagner, can I interest you in 9 Pro Bowls, 10 total All-Pros, 6 of them first team. Guys had 100 or more tackles in all 12 of his NFL seasons. He's unbelievable. And then Frankie Louvu, who was a very good player, had 100-plus tackles in each of his last 2 seasons, 125 last year. He can fly around, make tackles. Their secondary is atrocious so far. Emmanuel Forbes, Mike Sanistril, and Benjamin St. Juste are the 3 corners. They're all giving up quarterback ratings over 100. They have given up combined 8 touchdowns without a single interception because they don't have one as a team. And then they've got Jeremy Chin, who's a very good player from Carolina, 2nd round pick of theirs, and Quan Martin at safety. But they've struggled defensively, and this is you got to be able to get out. They've got some familiar names on their practice squad. Sheldon Day, who spent some time with the Browns, and Sheldrick Redwine, still in the league, the safety. But yeah, they're an interesting team. And then their kicker, their punter, Tress Way, has done nothing. Hasn't even really been involved at all. And then their kicker, former Brown Austin Seibert.
Oh, yeah.
Who is 10 for 10 on the year.
Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be?
Including a game in which he went 7 for 7 and made every single field goal.
Like NFL finishing school.
Against the Giants.
Here's what I would do if I was that ownership group and I had this kid at quarterback and you stumble into him and you stumble into this time. And they should have done this as soon as they bought the team. You get this rebrand going now. You get that new look, which is essentially the old look. Obviously, they're not going to be the Redskins anymore, and you're not going to have the Native American imagery. I get that. But there's an easy way to do it if they want it. Like you and I love the idea of Red Hogs, whatever. But, like, get back to that look. Get back to those uniforms. Do it now. This kid will build a stadium there. They're dealing with that. They're trying to get a stadium built there. They don't know where to do it, whether it's Landover in the district or wherever. Virginia has talked about at times, like, now go. You have a moment. Seize it with him. This was – we talked with Andrew yesterday about this. This was one of the pillars franchises of this league.
Yep.
It could get back in a second with an ownership group that's as engaged as this and with this kid.
Oh, yeah. He is, yes. Yes, they have been very, very impressive. There's no doubt about it, and this is a real test. Now, this should be a game that gets our offense going. So was last week. But this was a game that should get our offense going, and hopefully the Browns are able to do that because you're going to need to score to win this game. I mean, they're going to score.
We haven't scored net 20 yet.
No, we have not, and they've scored 20, 21, 38, and 42. Their points have gone up every single week. Washington goes us at home at Baltimore are their next 2 games.
Wow. There's your R. It's already done.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It's so easy. I think the name obviously not good, but I thought the logo was a very regal logo, and I know that
most importantly,
the chief it was based on loves it, right?
The guy who did it's a guy named Blake Whiteheart, who's a Montana native.
Yeah.
And if you just look up the logo, the grandson of his, and Blake Whiteheart himself, and I don't need to get into all of it, but I knew some Wetzels back home when I grew up and went to college with one of them, and so I know the family a little bit, not him specifically, but they were immensely proud of the logo. In fact, they want it back because it's not being used anywhere right now. Dan Snyder wouldn't let them have it back, and they're like, we're very proud of it. We'd like to have it back. And so there was, not with Dan Snyder, I don't know if this ownership group would want to take it on. It's a very complicated thing to be able to do.
Yes.
But I do think there is a roadmap for that helmet coming back and that image and paying homage to the Native Americans and everything that's happened there over the last 150 years. I think there's a very easy way to do that.
Yes.
I don't think it's as complicated as it needs to be made out to be. I don't sense that they'll do it. I'm sure you don't either.
No.
But I do think there's a roadmap for it if they wanted to go down that road.
Yeah.
So that's that. But it's a magical time for them. There's just no question about it. And this will be hands full in the game on Sunday. Our quarterback, Deshaun Watson, who's going to have a good one. We will hear from him from the podium in the second hour. We'll go around the league. All sorts of things to get to. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans enter Huntington Bank Field quicker on game day with Express Access presented by Verizon. Also new this year, select concession stands will offer Express Access presented by Bud Light. Enroll for free today. Go to the Tickets tab in the Browns mobile app to learn more. We head back from the podium presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today. For the ultimate game day, it is Deshaun Watson at the podium.
Film of
You guys are down 14 minutes.
feel any better about how things are going to go going forward, or what was your takeaway when you reevaluated that game?
The biggest thing is really just, we got to correct the little mistakes that's, costing us the opportunity to make big plays and win games. That's pretty much it.
A step forward for you personally, how you play?
Every week is a step forward. So the more I'm out there, the better I'm going to get and the better I'll be and the more confident I'll be.
You've gone 4 games in a row for the first time without throwing over 200 yards. Is it understandable considering the team leads the league in drop passes, or is it a source of concern for you? Do you feel that stat when you're out there?
No, I don't care about the stats. I just want to win. So none of that stuff matters.
I hate to drag you through another fourth down play, and the only reason why I'm asking is it informs what happens going forward. On 4th and 3 at the 9, when you watch the film again, did you do everything that you could have done on that play the way that it was designed? Or should you have maybe just thrown it up to Jordan in the end zone and taken a shot there?
I mean, we can all sit here and say we could have thrown it up. It could have been an incomplete, could have been an interception, or you could have caught it. Who knows what that percentage would have been or what would have happened. So at the end of the day, you give Raiders credit, and they stopped us, and that's pretty much it.
Deshaun, we saw you vocal with Dewan, and then I think there's a play with Jerome where he went the wrong way and you said something to him out there. And I know you're a captain and a leader the whole time, but do you feel that vocal kind of leadership is more necessary now with the struggles you guys are having?
I've always been vocal. So just because, you probably saw it during the game Sunday doesn't mean I haven't been vocal before. So that's always been me. If I need to correct something, then I'm going to correct it. And that's just how it kind of always went.
At 1 and 3, you don't feel like an extra need to maybe do something extra because you guys are having struggles? Is it?
No, I mean, we know what the struggles are, and that's just self-inflicted. Offensively, self-penalties. That's costing us not to continue drives. And, I can't speak defensively and I can't speak special teams, but offensively, just holding penalties and things like that, misalignments, things like that just causing us to not be as explosive as we want to.
Deshaun, talking about some of the self-inflicted stuff, how much do you think that's a factor on third down right now and the low rate you guys have on converting third downs right now?
The third downs percentages it starts with the first and second down. We got to put ourselves in manageable for third downs before we can speak on it. So the more the distance increase in third down, the lower the percentage you get for anybody to capitalize on. So I think the biggest thing is just being more locked in on first and second down so we can get ourselves in position to create opportunities for us to create, be positive on those third downs.
First down would seem to be the easiest play call of a series, and you guys are like 3.2 yards per first down. What's going on with first down?
That's a Kevin question. So, you got to talk with the coordinators on that part. I'm just executing whatever it's called. If people think it's easier on first down, I think every down is hard. It's the NFL, so it just depends on what the defense is doing.
It seems like most of the self-inflicted penalties are on first down.
I don't know. I don't know the percentage.
Deshaun, when you see a guy like Devontae Adams, a trade from the Raiders, does that get the wheels turning for you at all? I mean, do you feel like this team could use another premier wideout like that by any chance?
No, I'm locked in on my guys that I have in this locker room now. So I don't get into the trade talks or things like that or trying to add guys. I'm trying to focus on the execution, the game plan, so we can be productive on Sunday against the Commanders. All that is for AB in the front office.
How do you feel about Chubb being on the field again?
It'd be good to have his presence, his attitude, his mentality out there to help us, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it's sooner than later, but yeah, we all super excited for Chubb to be back, and just him to be back on the field is definitely awesome.
Deshaun, as you guys begin preparing for the Commanders, what stands out about their defense that presents you challenges and the offense as a whole?
Yeah, you got to give their defense credit. They're playing at a high level, doing exactly what they're asking to do in that scheme. The front is definitely very aggressive, very impressive. Everyone knows about Payne and Jonathan and Fowler and Farrell whenever he's healthy. And you got Wagner, who's a vet, who's controlling the middle. And then you got a nice young secondary that are playing at a high level. So you can tell that they're playing confident. We got to make sure we're locked in on our task so we can try to, create anything positive and get points on the board.
Deshaun, you guys have been very good on your first scripted drive of the game on offense. But it seems like there's just a rapid decline in mentality and game planning right after that. What do you attribute that to?
First off, I don't think the mentality changes or anything like that. People got to make adjustments. Not every drive is going to be positive and going to end up in points. That's what we hope for. But, it's hard to do in the NFL. So, the first drive, we start off fast. We just got to continue to keep pushing forward and doing what we're doing and build off that confidence and that momentum that we have on that first drive. And if we can do that, then we can create some more positivity on the offense and more points. So that's that. We just got to continue to play each and every drive like it's, that final drive that we need some points.
Sean, obviously you won't go up against him directly, but obviously a lot's been said about Jayden Daniels and the start to his rookie campaign, what he's done. Just what have you noticed about his game that's kind of impressed you from one quarterback to another?
Yeah, you can tell when he steps on the field, he's confident in what they're running. He's confident with the guys that he have around, and he's playing free. Super, super exciting guy to watch. Ever since, really, I've known him since high school. We trained a little bit when he was out in Arizona, at Arizona State. And when he went to Arizona State, then he went to LSU. So, we have history, and he's definitely having a start to a great campaign for his NFL career. So playing at a high level, he's got those guys rolling, and you can tell that the team is supporting him and behind him.
How much will it help you to have David Njoku back on the field if he can get out there and play on Sunday?
It'd be big for this offense. I think he's a big part of this system, exactly what we want to do and what we was planning to do, with the start of the season. But I know he's been out for the last couple of weeks, and, it'd be good to have him back. We'll see how this week goes, and we'll definitely be excited if he can make it to the game. So he's definitely a big part of this system and what we want to do offensively.
Showing the game's over, I know that, you've drawn to the guy that you see open, but when you find out that Elijah only has one target after the game, is that something you kind of file away and say we need to get him more involved in the weeks moving forward?
Yeah, you have to, you see all that and you kind of figure it out. We definitely want to get his talent to be able to show for this offense, and we just got to get with the staff and depending on how the game and the play callings are schemed up. For me as a quarterback, you see those things, but at the end of the day, you got to focus on getting the ball in the right position. You can't start forcing anything. So you got to let the game come to me and come to him, and we see how the game goes.
Likewise, would you like to see Said, I don't know, for whatever reason, Said didn't have any targets or wasn't really involved in the game plan too much. Would you like to see him maybe be a little bit more involved?
Yeah, again, it goes back to how the game is kind of played out and how they're scheming up for us and what kind of plays are getting called and who's the first, second read. And if I can get back to my third, fourth read, it just depends. I'm trying to find the open guy as soon as possible, get the ball out of my hands so we can create some positivity. So, we definitely have some guys that are very talented, and their opportunity is definitely going to come.
When Amari's been so reliable throughout his career, is it shocking when he doesn't catch the ball and you make a good throw and it turns into an interception?
Stuff happens. At the end of the day, sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. So, at the end of the day, we move on to the next play, and he knows that I'm coming right back to him regardless of the situation or what happens. So we trust in him. I believe in him. I have full 100% trust in Coop. And anytime, I need to, get him the ball and give him an opportunity, usually he makes those plays. So I'm going to rely on that percentage rather than a couple plays that haven't.
How do you think he's handling the release struggles?
I mean, I think he's fine, to be honest.
You talked about after the game how you came up to him and just told him that he was the best right tackle in the league and just encouraged him. How important for you was that to kind of come alongside of him in that time of need when obviously a big point in the game and didn't have the best coverage on that play?
Yeah, I mean, DeJuan's a very talented young tackle. And, he shows a lot of emotion. He has a lot of passion for the game. He wants to be the best. And we know that. And we hold each and every person that's out there on the field to a high standard. And he knows that. And, I just want to make sure that he knows that as a leader of this offense and one of the leaders of this team, that we love him. And we got trust and faith in him. And we just want him to know that, we hold him to a high standard. But at the same time, we're going to support him and we're not going to get down on him. And just focus on the next play. That play is done. It's over with. And, go out there and be the best tackle that you can be and that we know you are.
Even though sometimes it looks heated like it did, do you feel like, even with Jameis getting involved a little bit too, is it productive for you guys as team leaders to take it upon yourselves to hold those guys to such a high standard? And if it sometimes looks like it's tough love, it's going to look like it's tough love because you guys are trying to get to where you want to go this year?
I mean, of course, you're going to have that. I mean, that's what family do. We might go back and forth, but at the end of the day, like, we talk about it, we love each other, and we move on. And that's part of the game. That's part of the system. I think, the media kind of blows it out of proportion, but it wasn't anything serious. That's why no one panicked. That's why you didn't see Kevin or Ken or any other coaches try to do too much, because we know exactly what we need, and that's what we need. It's a player-led team. It's a player-led league, and it's only so much coaches can really do when it comes to that point. So players got to take over, captains got to take over, and if we get on the same page, we can be special.
Quick follow-up to that. Have you guys as an offense thought about any kind of just an offense-only meeting to kind of get yourselves together a little bit?
No, we've been done that. Yeah, so there's nothing else that everyone doesn't know or anything like that, So we've been done that. That's something that we don't speak about out publicly. We keep that internal.
So what you mentioned, keeping your focus on the receivers, the pass catchers you have. What would you say is the state of the receiving talent that you have right now through 4 weeks?
I mean, it's great. I think we have a lot of great talent in that receiver room, and we have a lot of guys that have a lot of opportunities to go out there and make explosive plays. We got to give them chances, and once they get those chances, opportunities, we all got to capitalize to be on the same page.
So what's it going to take to stop making so many self-inflicted wounds?
Just lock in.
Lacking for the first 4 games?
No, I don't think it's been lacking, but, we got to lock in every single play. We're not the only team around the league that's making self-inflicted plays. So sometimes you can overcome it. Sometimes, the first couple of weeks we haven't. So everyone goes through that, not just the Cleveland Browns. So we just got to make sure we're locked in every single play.
Jerry Jeudy mentioned the other day that, that he was a little bit tired on some plays and maybe had to miss a few reps. But might you possibly appreciate the fact that somebody is actually trying to come up with something concrete that they can do this week to make themselves better? And if everybody does that, then you guys will be able to get back on track easier?
Yeah. If we, at the end of the day, I get what you're saying, but if we capitalize on that fourth down play and we score, we wouldn't be having these conversations. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's kind of like you can play on one side of the line and play on the other side. We each and every week we got to find ways to get better. We got to find ways where we're going to do extra to get over that hump, whatever it is. We can be sitting here 3-1, and none of the questions wouldn't be the same. But we can have the same type of, things that's kind of leaking around, So, you just got to be real with yourself, real with the team, and that's what we've been doing each and every week. Not just because we've been coming up short. It's just that's how great teams do. And once you figure it out, you build that confidence. All you need is one win to start a streak, and you never know what can happen.
All right, there you go. Your quarterback from the podium. We will attempt to guess the scores with Dr. Z. Coming up next, you're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. The number is 216-485-2000. Or visit OhioBusinessMachines.com. Time to go around the league. Presented by Leaf Filter. Leaf Filter, the official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. Devontae Adams has requested a trade per Adam Schefter. The Raiders have informed teams they would consider trading Adams for a package that would include a second-rounder and additional compensation. Reported favorites to acquire Adams are, you guessed it, the Jets and the Saints. Do you think, is it Tom Telesco who's the GM there? Do you think he will acquiesce what Adams wants?
Or what the Raiders want?
Well, no. Do you think he will try to make Adams happy in the trade? I don't think so. I don't think he would care. I think he would just try to give me
try to get the best deal,
I can, and I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no such thing as a no trade. They could send him anywhere.
Yep.
The one thing I will say from his perspective, this was not in the brochure.
No, he went there to go play with Derek Carr.
He was going to play with his buddy, and he was going to go play with his college quarterback, and that was the plan. He was a West Coast guy and wanted to go there and play with him, and that is not the reality of the situation. He was actually great there in year one. He was a first-team All-Pro in year one there with Derek Carr.
He had 1,500 yards.
Like 14 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
He was nuts in year one. So he could be out there. We'll see.
We do not need to see him in New Orleans.
We don't need to see him in Pittsburgh.
We're
Correct.
definitely
That's
not there. Von Miller suspended 4 games for violating the league's personal conduct policy as well. Are you aware of what November 5th is?
The 5th of November.
It's the NFL trade deadline, but it is also Election Day.
And this wouldn't affect you guys as much, but it'll affect me. It's the first day of the college football playoff bracket.
Oh.
So all 3 of those things.
It's a big day.
Pick a different day. The college football playoff thing is a made-for-TV event. It's quite honestly meaningless. It would be very easy to just arbitrarily move it a week.
Especially, it's only November. It's the first week in November.
The other thing about it is it's the problem with that's so stupid is that they could really get themselves in trouble if they do an actual top 25 because they're going to have to reverse engineer their rankings because it's not the 12 best teams that get in. So it's going to be a mess. That side of it is. But anyway, that's all November 5th.
I did not know that.
Lots.
And that will be literally right as election stuff is coming in. That's probably an 8 or 9 o'clock p.m.
Don't you think we're past the point? Like, we're not going to have this isn't just, I feel like, an obvious statement. There will not be a presidential not known by that night.
I don't know.
I see no scenario. I mean, we haven't.
I'm sure the courts are getting involved.
Yeah, there will be no scenario where you're going to have an answer. It used to be you have an answer for that by the time you go to bed. I think that's done. Those days are in the rear view. All right, are you ready for a little game we like to call Guess the Scores? Dr. Z.
1-3, baby. Familiar record. We're going to break out of it, though. It only takes 1 to start a streak.
All right.
And by the way, if I've only seen 1 again because it's impossible to avoid our score with all the research and everything I do. If I get that one wrong again, I'm going to be really, really unhappy. That's a shocker when you're like, but I've seen it.
But I've seen it.
I've seen it.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We have 4 teams on byes this week, so you have that. We start in London, 9 a.m., Tottenham Hotspur, Jets. I'm sorry, we got to start with Thursday Night Football. My bad. Thursday Night Football.
All right.
Falcons are going to wear the great throwbacks again. I don't know why the Bucs aren't wearing the creamsicles. It would have been pretty cool to do that. Bucs at Falcons. Dr. Z.
Bucs at Falcons. Falcons have, when they played the Chiefs at home, they were in a good spot. I think that they will continue to be favored here. But not by a ton. Oh, boy. Now I'm already doubting myself. Falcons -2.
Got it. Falcons -1.5.
Woo, boy, I was almost at 2.5. But I didn't think it'd be 3, so I was like, I felt like it was more likely that it was 1.5 than it was 3. Okay, good. All right.
Now we're to London, 9:30 a.m., Tottenham Hotspur. Jets at Vikings.
I like this. We can watch football in the morning.
Yeah.
From Washington.
Vikings -3.
Got it. Vikings -2.5. 2 for 2. Good job at you. 1 o'clock slate.
Excited.
In Chicago, the Carolina Panthers at Chicago. Carolina at Chicago.
This feels like it should be bigger than 3, not quite 7. Vegas zone. So I'm going to go the Bears minus 4.5.
Gosh. Bears minus 3.5. Cincinnati. By the way, that's pretty good. I was curious why this one didn't get flex, but then I see what is in Sunday Night Football, and then it makes sense. Baltimore, gentlemen, at Cincinnati.
Huge AFC North tilt.
Baltimore at Cincinnati.
Ravens minus 3.
Ravens minus 2.5.
You can go ahead and say got it.
Got it. Thank you. Dolphins at Pat the Patriot.
Inmate game of the week. Don't be in solitary
this
this
is
week,
bad.
kid.
This would be bad. This is no
The guy
this
that
is
was running in Bowling Green's going to be
ball.
forced to watch this on Sunday.
That poor guy.
This is just hot garbage.
It's awful. I wouldn't even know. I don't even know how
think
you'd
there's
set a line on
any
it, honestly.
way that the Patriots can be favored in this game because they're dreadful.
How could the Dolphins be?
I also don't think there's any way the Dolphins can be favored in this game. So in my mind, it's a pick 'em, but saying pick 'em does nothing because I get it right. So I have to pick one side to be a half-point favorite.
Yep. That's really where you're at.
I mean, the Dolphins they just got drilled at home by the Titans.
Who's worse than New England the last month? Since they beat Cincinnati.
They've at least beaten Cincinnati.
Well, it's a long time ago.
But
brother.
that's at least this team. This is not the Dolphins.
No, it's not. Dolphins are the only team in the league who have not led for a second.
They can't be. The Dolphins, even though it should probably be Dolphins minus 3, it's not going to be. I still think it's a pick 'em. Patriots minus 0.5.
Got it.
What?
Patriots minus 1.
Oh man, I thought it'd be a pick 'em.
Here you go. Browns
That's
at
absurd.
Commies.
All right, this better be right. Commies minus 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Colts at.
By the way, how many buys are there this week?
4.
4 teams.
So
we said it earlier.
we're out of 14, so I need to get
Just
to 8.
curious how
I'm at
these
5
line
and
up.
1. What?
Interesting. Okay.
What?
Colts at Jaguars.
What's interesting?
Well, Gibby handed me a paper. Normally, I do this off of a site. Okay. The paper and the site are different. Yep. Colts at Jaguars. We'll go off the paper.
I was going to say, the paper's working.
Paper's working well for you,
working.
so we'll keep it the paper.
Colts at
Jaguars.
Colts minus 2.
Jaguars minus 3.
Excuse me?
I know. I agree. If Flacco's starting, I would go race and make money on that.
Did the site say was that right?
That
on
was
the
the
site?
same on the site. Same on the site. Same on the site. Bills at Texans. Bills at Texans.
So I thought the Bills were going to be favored in Baltimore. They were not. They were 3-point underdogs around there. They just got smoked. I could see this being a pick 'em too. I'm going to go Houston minus 0.5.
Houston. No. Bills minus 1. So you did not get it.
I should have said Bills minus 0.5.
Bills minus 1.
Are you surprised they're favored?
A little. I don't know. I still think they're one of the best teams in football. That script went bad for them early. And Houston's kind of been. They didn't cover early.
That's why I didn't have them favored by much.
Yeah. I think Houston's kind of uneven. I don't know if it doesn't seem like there's a full. It feels like the Desert Boys got done in by the Texans a little bit, and so they're being punished. That's my hunch.
Okay.
All right, 4:00 slate. You're cruising. You're 5-3. Raiders at Broncos. Raiders at Broncos.
Game means something now.
Denver minus 3.
Got it.
This week has more.
So that one was a half point different on the site.
Would I have still got it?
You still would have got it because you're within a half point. Okay. Yep. Cards at Niners. Cards at Niners.
Niners minus 7.5.
Got it. Exactly.
Let's go.
winning. It's done. The streak is over.
No, it's over.
Ding dong.
I need one more.
Dead.
I need one more.
Packers at just ram it. Pack at ram it.
It's working right now. I'm sticking with it. Packers -3.
Got it. Packers -3.
So this game just has more that feel normal.
Normal. Yeah, it does.
That's why I'm doing well.
Maybe they're figuring it out, too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're getting a little bit of a feel for it. Giants at Seattle. Giants at Seattle.
Seattle -6.
Got it. Exactly.
Wow.
Kid's back. He's
How you
back,
like
baby.
me now, Gibby?
Prime time football.
Browns by 1 billion.
This is one that'll feel like an NFL Films game from a uniform juxtaposition. Dallas at Pittsburgh. Dallas.
Is that Sunday Night Football?
Sunday Night Football. Dallas at Pittsburgh.
Dallas -2.
Pittsburgh -2.5. Finally, and you've already long secured the winning week, so stack the dubs. This would get you to double-digit wins, though, which would be fun. Monday Night Football, New Orleans at Kansas City.
Monday Night Football, New Orleans at Kansas City. I don't think it's going to be as big as you would think. I'm going to go Chiefs -3.
Chiefs -5.
Wow, I wouldn't see that at all.
So a 9-5 week. Dub,
Winner.
good
Right.
job out of you.
2-3 on the season.
Very good job out of you. I think the most terrifying ones for me, and that I would just be like in a real world, I would just sprint
Stay
from.
away.
I have no idea what to make of Dallas and Pittsburgh.
Me neither.
On Sunday Night Football.
I'm surprised Dallas isn't favored, though.
I don't know what to make of that game at all. That is a very tricky one. There was another one in the 1 o'clock window that I thought was just brutal.
Colts Jags.
Yeah, to me that one I would
might
feel very good about Indy.
Yeah,
yeah, I would feel very good about Flacco in that game.
Yeah,
I think he'll do very well against them. Maybe that was it. Oh, Rams Packers. I don't like that either. Because of I feel like that seems like Packers, but not crazy about it. So we'll see. The London game is tricky too. Vikes -2.5. That feels like they get
London's
Slump City.
always like whoever kind of gets out to the lead usually just puts it away.
That's what used to happen on Thursday Night Football too. Like if you
Yeah,
got in
not
early,
anymore.
it was just no. But in the old days, like you get up, the other team just go, yeah, we'll see.
Forget
ya.
it. Yeah.
Let's do a mini buy and let's live a little bit. All right. So there you go. Good job out of you. Back to your winning ways. Not surprised at all out of this co-host.
Now we need it for the scores.
A little bit of higher or lower coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, right here on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Back for another season, your favorite four-legged companion, year 3 of Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, the fan club for dogs. View membership options and join today at barkingbackers.com. Time for a little higher, lower. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen, hi. This is from PFF.
All right.
Each week, after every NFL game is graded and reviewed, PFF will check in on the top pass rushers of the 2024 season. One sack, hit, or pressure can dramatically alter a player's PFF grades when the sample size is small, but as snap counts rise, the grades will stabilize. We'll get a clearer picture of the league's best pass rushers.
Okay.
So, this is the top 32 pass rushers for the 2024 season after week 4.
All right. Very good.
Number 1, Aiden Hutchinson. And maybe we just need to react more to this. I don't know if I can do Gabe a higher or lower.
Here's the hard part with this is because it's their numbers.
Yeah.
So their numbers are – this is the beautiful thing or the tough thing about PFF. You can't argue with their numbers because they have a theorem that gets them the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't argue with to their numbers, he is. Would I rather have Aiden Hutchinson than Myles Garrett or TJ Watt? No, I would not. But he's really good. And the cool thing about
he's
him,
leading the league with 6.5 sacks.
Yeah. No, he's been great. He's been great. What's cool about him is he is a local kid who played at Michigan, who went second overall in that draft.
Should have gone first overall.
Should have. And Jacksonville probably wishes they would have too, but it all worked out in this instance. And he is an instant impact rookie. He's in his second year on the defensive line. So it's appropriate that he is where he is. Personally, I prefer Myles, but I also understand that this kid's a dude.
So I guess we can have a little conversation just about the rankings in general. Like he's got Hutchinson number 1, Myles number 2, TJ Watt number 3, Chris Jones.
Where's Kyle Van Noy?
Number 9.
Kyle Van Noy's got 6 sacks and 7 tackles for a loss. That is the highest.
Feels impactful.
He's second in sacks, first in tackles for
Doesn't
loss.
he have a fractured eye
and he
socket?
did it with a fractured eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
He's never had more than 9 sacks in a season. I mean, he's playing unbelievably well.
He wasn't even in their top 32 a week ago. Today he's number 9.
So hold on, maybe he had like a monster. He's had 2 sacks in 3 straight games. 2 against Vegas, 2 against Dallas, 2 against Buffalo. A forced fumble and 7 tackles for a loss.
I feel like he should have been in a little sooner.
Yeah, I think he should be a little bit higher. I bet a guy named Pat Jones might be on the list. I don't even know who that is. A lineman.
I don't either. He's got
3rd-round pick of the Vikings. He's got 5 sacks.
All right, Pat Jones is not on this list.
5 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss.
He's a
1 forced
linebacker,
fumble.
outside linebacker, yeah. D-end, rush end.
He should definitely be on the list. I mean,
Isn't that
TJ Watt's at 3 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about how Kyle Van Noy at age 33 on his, is it 5th? And let's see, Detroit, New England,
Baltimore,
Miami.
Yeah, and I think he went
Chargers.
back. Didn't he go
I think he was with the Chargers too.
He may have gone back. I got it right here.
Oh yeah, he did, and Chargers. I just pulled it up. Yeah.
He went Detroit, New England, Miami, back to New England, Chargers, Baltimore.
So he's 3 years Detroit. He's 4 years New England, 1 year Miami, back to New England, 1 year Chargers, 2 years Baltimore. His previous career high in sacks is 6.5, and he's got 6.
Well, it's 9 last year.
Oh yeah, 9.
Yeah, but he's been. I mean, think
So
about
he's trending.
consistency.
And at age 33,
6.5, 6, 5, 5, 9, 6. But 6 in 4 games for him is 33 years old.
Yeah, found it. Of course, Baltimore.
Of course, exactly.
They're rounding out the top 10. The back 5 was Nick Bosa, Keon White of New England.
Keon White.
Keon, K-E-I-O-N.
Keon White has 4 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss.
You said Bosa was 6?
Yep, Nick Bosa.
Yep.
His sack numbers are down, huh?
Hines Allen of the Jags was 7th.
Yeah, Josh
Owe
Allen
was
good.
8th. Van Noy was 9th. Jalen Carter was number 10.
So the Ravens have 2 of the top 10.
Yes. That's a problem. A guy we'll see on Sunday, ranked number 19, wasn't in the top 32, Dorrance Armstrong.
He's having a heck of a season. I just did his numbers. Leads the team with 2 sacks. He's got a forced fumble. He's got 7 quarterback hits. And to give some context to that for Browns fans, Myles Garrett has 8 quarterback hits. 7 quarterback hits is a lot.
It's a lot.
So he's been pretty good.
Do you think that that rush ends are the hardest thing in the league to officiate?
Yeah, because they're getting held on every play. It's just a matter of when do you
decide to
call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's for sure.
Teams with multiple.
Who's our next highest ranked?
Not in the 32.
Oh, that only goes to 32.
Yeah. The Bills have Rousseau and Daquan Jones and Von Miller, who just got suspended. So they had 3 in the top 32. Tampa Bay had they and Diaby. Eagles have Josh Sweat and Carter.
Jalen was one of those guys, just a no-brainer. He was going to be
so
a
good.
beast.
And they have Kinlaw, too. So there's 2 teams with 3 players.
Yeah, you need to have – if you think about, Kyle's best teams and his best defenses in San Francisco, you have to have multiple of these guys. Like with Baltimore. Baltimore's got 2 in the top 10. You get 2 guys who are grading out PFF, pass rush. You're winning a lot of games. You're going to get things flipped pretty quickly, even if you start off slow, as they did. You're going to get things right pretty quickly.
Well, that was one of the things last year is that while Zadarius didn't have the sack numbers, he was top 20 on all of their stuff.
Yeah.
Number 8 in pass rush win rate. He was, I think, number 18 edge rusher grade, so he would have been on this list. And now this year he's got 2 sacks, but he's only got 4 pressures.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough way to go about it. That certainly is. I do think that the other thing that's happened in the league, and we talk a lot about the offense and all of that, and I think you bring up this point, it's such an astute one. There are more great defensive linemen than there are offensive linemen to block them by a wide margin.
Yeah.
And the discrepancy is getting wider and wider every year.
Bigger than ever.
It is, yeah. You brought that up earlier this season. We were talking about the pass rush stuff, and I hadn't thought of it in that context. And once you did it, you start to pay attention to these defensive lines that are getting churned out, and you're thinking about the offense that has to try to protect them. My hunch is what it'll lead to, because it's just simply supply and demand. I think it'll lead to, if you're an offensive tackle or guard, I think you're going to see those position groups being paid exponential.
If you're good.
If you're great, if you're good, those guys will separate. You think about Trent Williams and the impact he has.
With Tristan Wirf's contract. Tristan Wirf's got more in that contract than the Hoff made his whole career.
Yeah. So that's the thing that's kind of the future of that, is there aren't enough of them, and so until that course corrects, that's what's going to happen, is offensive linemen are going to get – really good offensive linemen are going to start to crush it financially. They already have been, but it's going to get worse.
Agreed. And it's why and these pass rushers are as well, because they can cripple games.
Yeah.
And
pass
you're seeing
rusher
guys
seems a little bit like it's.
Receiver
I'm curious about
years ago.
receiver and pass rusher in the next 3 to 5. There's so many of them.
There are, but there are only so many that are like Justin Jefferson is worth every penny.
Sure.
There are only so many that are truly different.
Right. I think it's the middle class that'll get cut out.
Yes.
I think the high end at anything. The high end's the high end.
High end's high end.
But the middle is going to start to get cut out.
What I do think is interesting and kind of furthers the point is that you're seeing guys that have been in the league for a long time that were solid players that are becoming dominant pass rushers later in their careers, because I think it is easier to get to the quarterback than ever.
Yeah. I buy that.
This is a total aside, I guess. But I was watching with Miss K on a Thursday night, and there were a bunch of holds were called, and she's like, if the point is for this guy to keep them from getting to the quarterback, why are there rules on how they have to do that?
I love that.
It makes no sense. And I'm like,
she's
you're
right. She's right.
They should be able to do whatever they want.
Do whatever you want. Difference does it make?
Right.
And honestly, the same could be applied to the tackle.
To the tackle and to press, and you should be able to.
Well, that's how the game used to be played.
Well, yeah.
You could do all of that in the days of Dick Night Train Lane.
That's right.
Ray Nitschke, Dick Butkus, Marion Motley. You could do anything you wanted. And it's just obviously very, very different now. Voting is now open for a high school
It's not
game.
like that in the league of Colson Yankoff.
No, it is not. Voting is now open for a high school game of the week. The Browns will select one high school game in Northeast Ohio to be featured as a high school game of the week, presented by Ohio Cat. In association with Forever Lawn, the matchups you can choose from: Talmadge against Aurora, Garfield Heights and Bedford, Amherst and Olmsted Falls, Struthers and Lakeview. Vote now on clevelandbrowns.com. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I'm going to tell you what, there is a bunch of very cool images floating around the social right now of Nick Chubb at practice. That warms the heart.
Oh, it sure does. It gives a boost to the heart, to the soul, to the body, to the mind, and hopefully to this football team. Even though I think it's probably pretty unlikely that he will play, I think it would be just having him out there hopefully is a boost for this football team. The way he goes about his business, the way that he does everything should be, inspirational. And we heard Blake Whiteheart say, this team's focused. These guys care. Let's see it on the field. Let's see that translate, and who embodies that more than Nick Chubb? Nobody.
Nope. So that is very cool to see him back out there, and Naheem Hines out there as well. So get a look. He was such a personable dude when we had him in here. It was so exciting. He's such a great dude. So it's great to have him back.
He's living the dream.
He is. Yeah. So hopefully trending in the right direction. Always great to see Nick back. That has got to be good news on that side of things as we continue to prepare for Washington. Tomorrow we will get into the matchup side of it, our offense versus their defense and vice versa. It is a coordinator day here on the program. We'll get to that. Probably 4 downs tomorrow too, I would imagine. We'll get to that tomorrow on the program as well. So you have that to look forward to, which is very, very nice as we continue to prepare for the Washington Commies coming up Sunday in Landover. It's Northwest Stadium. I didn't know that.
It's not FedEx Field anymore?
I guess it is. That's what it says on the document, that it's Northwest. It's interesting. So they have all of this stuff on the bottom.
Northwest?
I mean, my mom worked at Northwest Farm Credit Services, which was
there was Northwest Airlines, which is now defunct
too. That bank still, I think, does exist. It was green and white. She was a loan officer there. Their thing here says, "Hail to the Commanders." Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it?
Major Tuddy.
Yep. Be sure to catch the Browns preview show presented by Tostitos tonight, 7 to 8. University Hospitals, Cleveland Browns Radio Network, Rodney McLeod, Andrew Siciliano, Ken and Gerard. 850 ESPN Cleveland. You can get it there. The next level's coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.